6:45 p.m. that afternoon, in front of the 4-cent garbage building in Clarksville, Tennessee, Sonichu, Rosachu, and Wild Sonichu stand before the 72-story building. "Wow, now that's tall," says Sonichu. "Sonichu, stay focused," says Rosachu. "We're here to meet the head of this company and reason with him." "Yes, my blossoming Zapbud," says Sonichu. "It was good of Magichan to teleport us here," says Rosachu. "By the way, you called earlier to make our appointment. What's the name of who we're meeting?" "Well, he did not give his last name," says Sonichu. "He only introduced himself as Jason." As they talk, we see an elderly couple walking along the street. "Nubby, if I've told you once to a million times, you shouldn't leave your purse at our mansion," says the man. "I'm sorry, Thurston, but we were on that island for so long, I've gotten used to strolling without it," says Lovey. "Indeed! Guess Jason's last name now." "Well," says Wild Sonichu, "while y'all are wheelin' and dealin', I'll search for the 6th Sonichu ball crystal that Magichan detected in the building. A day doesn't go by when I can't help but appreciate the stealth teachings of my father," says Wild. "He was leader of his cut-sharp clan of Skyther and Skyzer. One day, on a mission for swift revenge upon the Charmeleon cult for burning down their jungle dojo, he was captured by poachers. I was close behind his trail when it happened. I wept as I saw him being put into their van. I tried to release my father, but he told me to stop. He said there was no way I could cut through that steel, and they drove off, and the last thing I saw of him was the passing of the torch look in his eyes. Since then, I swore revenge on those monsters." The second chapter of the story of Wild Sonichu, thought up on August 28th, 2008. "Just be safe, Wild," says Rosachu. "Don't get yourself caught." "We support you, man," says Sonichu. "If you get caught, we will come to your rescue." Wild Sonichu's conversion. Using his powers, Wild Sonichu blends in with the surroundings, becoming virtually invisible. "I learned it from a passing Porygon," he thinks. "Wow," says Sonichu. "When Wild blends in, he doesn't fool around. Now let's clean the mud off our good names." Hand in hand, Sonichu and Rosachu enter the 4centgarbagegmagazine.com building. The interior is decorated entirely in red. "Wow," says Sonichu, taking in the decor. "Yeah," says Rosachu. On the ground floor, they see lit furnaces all along the walls, each with a roaring fire. From the atrium, Sonichu and Rosachu can see every floor of the building, with rows of doors running along the wall. A red central column is in the center of the building, burning all the way up the atrium to the top. Before them is a reception desk. "It really sets the mood," says Rosachu. "Yeah," says Sonichu. "You live in a volcano." They approach the receptionist desk, occupied by a red devil with bat wings and cut-off blue jeans. "Excuse me," Sonichu says. "My lady friend and I have a 20 o'clock appointment with the head of your company." "Yeah, sure," says the devil, never turning to look at the visitors. "Go to the opposite side of the column and take the elevator to floor 66 plus 6. "Wouldn't that be the 72nd floor?" asks Sonichu. "Yes," growls the devil. "If you want to get technical, get going. I'm busy here." "Gee, thanks," says Sonichu. Rosachu presses the button for the elevator. "Umph," says Sonichu. "Can you believe how rude that guy was? He wouldn't even turn around for simple eye contact." "Sonichu, I understand that he offended you," Rosachu says, "but remember Joseph's story. Forgiveness." Suddenly the building turns white, and a cross appears with a dove symbol hanging from it. Sonichu gets down on one knee, and Rosachu pats him on the head. "Thank you, Rosie," says Sonichu as he takes her hand into his. "You are my best voice of reason." The elevator car arrives, and they step inside. "It makes me wonder," Sonichu says. "If there's a jerk like that on this floor, I can only imagine what else can be on the other floors here." Meanwhile, Wild Sonichu enters the building through the emergency exit and uses one of the Sonichu balls to track down the other. He fires his vine line from his arm. The line snares a chandelier at the high ceiling of the building. Wild retracts the line, pulling himself up through the atrium. In respect to Sonichu and Rosachu going up in the elevator, the next few pages will need to be read from the bottom to the top of the pages. Although they wish to go to the 72nd floor, the elevator opens on various other floors, allowing Sonichu and Rosachu to see what else goes on in the 4-cent garbage magazine building. "Hey, dude, did you get over your hangover yet?" asks a technician on the second floor. "Feeling ready to work?" "Yeah, think so," says another. Among them lay other technicians, all passed out at their workstations. "Great," says the first technician. "I'm going to check out of my shift." He passes out as well. "Yep," says the second technician, and he begins drinking beer. On the third floor, a jolly bear is enjoying a bath with 3 small girls. "I don't understand," says Sonichu. "What's the deal with that?" On the 4th floor, they see a giant stamp bearing the face of an anime girl. "I don't get this either," says Rosachu. On the 7th floor, Rosachu leaves the elevator to punch out a technician uploading a drawing of her. "I have a vagina, uterus, and ovaries, you freak!" On the 8th floor, Sonichu spin dashes the technician looking at a drawing of Mary Lee Walsh nude and holding Sonichu captive with a ball gag in his mouth. "That just infuriates and ticks me off," shouts Sonichu. On the 9th floor, they combine their power and electrocute a technician working on a drawing of Sonichu and Rosachu. He dies instantly. On the 10th floor, Christian Weston Chandler emerges from the temporal void to scold a technician who is working on a drawing of Chris, sucking from a massive pipe. "That was a beverage cup from a Target cafe," Chris says. "And what did I say against that sour vegetable? Bravo, Chris!" Sonichu cheers from the elevator. "Good show!" On the 11th floor, they see a family. "Yeah, 2D," says the mother. "It's easy to change a nappy. You, like all men, just don't have the courage. You have courage only to watch those useless zombie movies." "I could name many things that can show you my courage," the man says, "but I don't think you need to remember the day we got married." "Dasu, dasu, dasu," says the baby. "Well, that's just plain sad," says Rosachu, crossing her arms and closing her eyes in judgment. "Yeah," says Sonichu, doing the same. On the 12th floor, they see Knuckles the Echidna, dressed in gangster attire, and surrounded by female Sonic the Hedgehog characters. "Wow," says Rosachu, "when did Knuckles become so popular?" On the 13th floor, they see female versions of Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails. "What?" they both cry out. On the 14th floor, they see the bear from earlier, announcing, "I'd hit that." "Geez, it's that bear again," says Rosachu. On the 51st floor, we see the entire White House, which has apparently been relocated within this building in Tennessee. Arizona Senator John McCain, New York Senator Hillary Clinton, and Alaska Governor Sarah Palin look on from the road as a man on a ladder paints the White House black. "Hey," shouts McCain, "you can't decorate the White House until you've been elected." On the ladder, we see that the man is Illinois Senator Barack Obama, wearing a paper hat. 43rd President of the United States, George W. Bush, notices him from the second-story window of the White House, and, with a mischievous smile, shoves the ladder over with a broom. "Ah!" screams Senator Obama. This single joke was originally thought up by RFC, my dad. On the 69th floor, we see a diagram of Xbox 360 code, an anime girl cyborg themed after the Xbox 360 video game console. From the director, CWC. I wish to take a moment to inform you, the reader, that even though this image of the Xbox 360 was drawn in the form of an anime girl android, it does not reflect in any shape or form my ideas of women. So the following act I will do unto a hand-drawn recreation of the console only reflects my hatred for the Xbox in general, not any feelings towards women, anime or real. Ladies, I care about y'all, although only one will be my true sweetheart. On the 70th floor, Sonichu and Rosachu see a massive axe splitting a Xbox 360 in half. The controller is also split in half. "Yeah, kill that Xbox," cheers Sonichu and Rosachu. On the 71st floor appears an image bearing the PlayStation logo. "Trophy unlocked. Killed the Xbox. Now play your PlayStation 3 or Nintendo Wii in peace."